So, what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And should you buy an iPhone 10 or a Samsung Galaxy S8? Now, a little disclaimer, I do have a Galaxy S8 Plus here. What I'm going to talk about in this video doesn't matter. I'm going to be talking about basically S8 traits. So I just shortened the title to S8. Anyway, now, I also want to mention that this is not going to be the most objective review on the plan. I'm going to share my thoughts, my experiences, my opinions as well. If you want an objective review, go read like spec sheet or something like that. We're here to share our experience with you to help you make the most informed decision. I hope you stick around to the end because you're going to learn a lot in this video. So let's begin with the specs and get those out of the way. So over here on the iPhone 10, you do have yourself a 5.8-inch AMOLED display. This comes in at about 459 pixels per inch. Does have a notch up at the top. You do have iOS 11 to boot. You also do have a Apple A11 Bionic chip that does come with Apple 3-core graphics as well as 3 gigabytes of RAM, dual 12 megapixel cameras on the rear, and you also have a portrait 7 megapixel on the front. Now the Galaxy S8 on the Android side does offer pretty much the best specs Android can give you. Snapdragon 835, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 12 megapixel camera on the rear, fingerprint scanner right there, heart rate sensor. On the front, you do have an 8 megapixel camera. You do have a 3D touch home button here. On the front, you do have iris scanning technology, Android 7.0 Nougat to boot. So those are basically the key specifications that matter here. You do have a 2700-ish battery here on the iPhone 10, and you do have a 3500-ish battery here on the Galaxy S8 Plus. Now, if you get the smaller Galaxy S8, that goes down to 3000 milliamp hours. All right, guys, so let's begin by talking about the body and the hardware here between both devices. Now, I do have it in a case, but I'm going to take it out for this section here. Now, I'm not going to go over the specs and how thick they are in millimeters and stuff like that. These are both pretty thin phones. I think the iPhone 10 is a little thicker than like the iPhone 8, but you can see you have a shiny borders around the edge here, a dual camera that does have a hump there. Probably the biggest hump I've ever seen on any iPhone. That's a pretty big hump there on the iPhone 10. Now you do have your classic silent switch here. You do have your volume rockers at the bottom. Lightning jack with the no headphone jack appearing here for 3.5 millimeter. Pretty much an all screen design here on this hardware. Face ID is not enabled here, so I'm gonna have to unlock that in a minute. But up at the top, it's just silver. And that's about it here on the iPhone 10. It's a more compact, curvy, ovally design around the edges. It's a nice design here overall. I think that the notch is gonna annoy some people, but we're gonna have to see how that plays out in the long term. Now, in terms of the body and the build over here on the Galaxy S8, it's a more curvy screen and a more symmetrical design. So what that means is the glass on the back of the Galaxy S8 actually matches the glass design on the front. It's a very nice design here in the Galaxy S8 Plus, just like the iPhone 10. Now you do have a little more bezel here on the Galaxy S8, but at the same time, you have more bezel around the side on the iPhone 10. So bezel around the side, that kind of makes up for the bezel on the top and bottom of the Galaxy S8. Now in the S8, you don't have bezel at all really on the side. So, it's a trade-off. Do you want bezels on the top and the bottom slightly, or do you want bezels on the sides slightly? Some people are gonna like the all-screen design of the iPhone 10. Some people are gonna like the all-screen design here of the Galaxy S8. And some people are gonna say, that's not really an all-screen design. I see those little bezels up at the top and the bottom. Using this day to day, I can tell you right now, this feels pretty much like an all-screen design. Now, also the Galaxy S8 going to give you a fingerprint scanner on the back. It also gives you the headphone jack right here. You get USB-C, a speaker here. And I forgot to mention on iPhone 10, you do get dual speakers, one at the bottom, one at the top, just like on the 8 series of smartphones. And up at the top, there's really nothing but a SIM card tray. Forgot to mention that as well on the iPhone 10. There's a SIM card tray right there on your right side. And on the rear, it's a little cleaner on the back, I would say, for the iPhone 10 because it removes that FCC branding. You still have some of that branding stuff down here on the Galaxy S8. But which one is the better design? That really comes down to your personal opinion. Honestly, I'm going to give you my opinion right here. I think the Galaxy S8 is a better design than the iPhone 10. I think that it feels more comfortable in the hand, and I think that because it doesn't have a notch, it looks a little bit better. Now, that's not to knock the iPhone 10. The iPhone 10 is probably one of the best iPhones ever designed, if you ask me. Now, in terms of weight between the S8 and the iPhone 10, both are very light devices and they feel comfortable in the hand overall. So slipping them in the pocket might, be a bigger deal here on the S8 Plus. But if you get the smaller S8, it's going to be closer to this device right here. Overall, both are going to be fantastic in terms of their weight, though. They're not heavy phones at all. They're sleek and stylish, in my opinion. Now, talking about displays, here's an area that I think matters a lot here. It's the first AMOLED panel here on an iPhone. And my first impressions are Apple tweaked this device to have a display that they wanted the way they wanted it, because this display is nowhere near as punchy as the one on the Galaxy S8 Plus. Now, this is going to be hard to show on camera, but believe me, the Galaxy S8 Plus in person, if you walk side by side with these two phones, you're still going to see a difference. The Galaxy S8 Plus is still going to punch out and stand out more to you on the store shelves if you looked at these side by side. In addition to that, the Galaxy S8 Plus is going to get brighter. Same with the smaller S8. This phone just gets brighter and it has a sharper panel overall. You're going to have a higher pixel density. So it's kind of funny that even though Samsung made this iPhone, display, its display on its Galaxy series is still sharper, it's still more vibrant, and it's still brighter. However, that doesn't always matter to people, because what Apple did here with the iPhone 10 is they made a very well calibrated display and a very clear display with, not over punched up colors. So again, it's the same argument it's been for years. Do you want a punchy display or do you want, a more balanced natural display? But for the first time, you get OLED here on the iPhone 10, but this is not like I say, it's not like the AMOLED panel it's not like the Super AMOLED panel here on the Galaxy S8. It's more toned down, it's more natural, more balanced, but you still get your inky blacks here, and it still looks better than any other iPhone display. So honestly, I'm calling display round a draw. I think it comes down to what you want. You want more natural colors? Get the iPhone 10. You want punched up, vibrant, super bright, and just amazing colors to look at when you're looking for saturation, you're going to want the Galaxy S8. So it's a draw here to me on the display when it comes to just pure display quality. Now, I know some people are already saying, iPhone 10, best display ever on a smartphone. Again, this is all opinions. This is all perspectives based on everybody's experience using the phone. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's really what you want to use. You want a brighter display? You want a more punched up display, like I said earlier. Now, the notch in terms of display, we got to talk about that a little bit here before we move on. The notch doesn't always cut into the display, like on Apple optimized apps. However, when you get into like Safari, for example, and I go ahead and read this Wikipedia article, if I put it in reader mode, you can see, look at the notch cutting into my text up there. It's also going to cut into that image right there. You can see it covers the image, so it does get in the way from time to time. Also, if we go into photos here, let me go into photos and take a look at this photo I took, a portrait selfie I took here just to check it out. There's some shoes. Let me go ahead and look at this portrait selfie. You can see right there, cuts right into my glasses, right into my face. So it's going to do that on video sometimes as well. Whereas the Galaxy S8 doesn't do that at all. And Samsung doesn't get credit for this, but they also, included full screen apps. So they kind of ease the pain of you coming from a widescreen to a full screen aspect ratio. And I think that's pretty nice. That's really looking out for the consumer, knowing Samsung knew that this is going to irk some people. So they made it to where you can stretch your apps here on the Galaxy S8. And that's a pure win to me on the display for the Galaxy S8 over the iPhone 10, that ability to do that right there. In addition to that, apps are cut off here on this display for the iPhone 10. So if I go into a PieGeek, for example, here's an app that's not, ready for this yet. You can see right here, black bars on the bottom, and it kind of looks like you're using an iPhone 8 here. It reminds me of when the iPhone Plus first came out and none of the apps were optimized for the bigger display. It's going to be a while before all developers get on board with this iPhone 10. It might be faster than prior years, but still, it's going to be a little while. Whereas the Galaxy S8, it's mostly due to Android can stretch applications in development. You can stretch the Android applications pretty easily. So they all look like they just work. So out of the box, when I first got the Galaxy S8, it felt like a more complete experience. It felt like it was ready to go. The iPhone 10 has a little bit of feeling that it wasn't ready quite yet to go in terms of development and stuff like that. But that's what happens with iOS. When the Plus came out, we had to wait for that to expand the applications to fit the screen. We're gonna have to wait here on the iPhone 10. And that's my overall take on how these displays work. Okay guys, so let's get into software between the iPhone 10 and the Galaxy S8 Plus. So I think everybody really wants to know more about the iPhone 10 here, how that works. We know this is Samsung Experience version. We've seen it for a few months now, but the iPhone 10 really changes the experience with the gesture controls here on the iPhone 10, where you have to half press to get into your applications. To be honest with you right now, this doesn't feel as intuitive as prior iOS versions with the home button. This thing is going to take some time to get used to, and honestly, at this point, it feels slower. It feels like a slower experience because you have to do more stuff to get stuff done. So what I mean by that is you just press the home button to go home before. Now you have to go down here and swipe up to go home. It was just a really quick click right there. But that's not the big deal. The big deal here is like this one, where you have to half press. That takes some time. And then you have to actually hold down to clear your apps. You couldn't just clear them anymore just by swiping up. So if we half press swipe up, you can't just clear them away. It just kind of goes away. So you have to actually press 2 steps. Now they might update this in the future here, but not now. Whereas on the Galaxy S8, multitasking is as simple as just going through here, or you can just hit close all to close everything. So again, I think the Galaxy S8 offers an easier experience, more intuitive experience when it comes to just the way the general operating system works. Now, in terms of iOS versus Android customization, how complex that might get, that might change for you. But I think it's easier for a user to look at this and be like, okay, back button, okay, home button, okay, multitasking switch key, okay, that's easy enough. Pull down my notifications, that's easy enough. Where on the iPhone 10, you have to do this gesture stuff. You have to come up here to the right side of the notch to get your, your control center. You have to come over here to get to your notifications tray on this side. It's a little more complex, I think, out of the box than any other iPhone in history. However, iOS 11 at its core works exactly the same as any other device. One thing I did notice is you can't do a zoom view on the iPhone 10. You cannot have a battery percentage up here because there's not room, which I don't like right away. You can see display. Let me go to display. You can see there's no zoom view, so you're stuck with the smaller icons. If you like to zoom your iPhone before, you can't do that anymore here on the iPhone 10. Not yet anyways. On the battery, there's no percentage. You actually have to pull down to see your percentage right there. Same with Bluetooth. There's just not room to fit all the icons up there on the iPhone 10. So software is tricky. It really comes down to, are you ready to embrace all of these changes here on the iPhone 10? I still think it's a fantastic device, but there's a lot of trade-offs when coming to an iPhone 10 from an older iPhone. Now, if you use Android and you're into this tech game like that, this is going to be easy for you to learn. But I'm just saying there is some trade-offs here when it comes to software. Now, in terms of the Face ID, it's actually enabled right now. I can try to get it. Let me see if I can get it here on camera. Give me a second. See if I can get it to work here. There it goes right there. And you can see it unlocked. Now, we also have iris scanning here on the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus as well. Both work pretty fantastic. The Galaxy S8 is very accurate. I think the iPhone 10 is a little more accurate with its Face ID. So, face unlock, that really comes down to your personal preference. Do you really want to do that? And to me, it's cool. I don't use it all the time, but it's cool to have if you want to use it. I don't know how secure it is. I still prefer a fingerprint scanner. And a lot of people knock the Samsung for putting a fingerprint scanner up here on the right side. But I think now that you don't have a fingerprint scanner at all on the iPhone, you might be saying, well, at least I have a fingerprint scanner on my Samsung Galaxy S8. What else do you get on the iPhone 10 versus the Galaxy S8 in terms of software? Well, you get 3D touch across the board here on the iPhone 10. You do get a 3D touch home button here for the Galaxy S8, which you don't get on the iPhone 10. So, it really comes down to, are these little extra features, which one is going to be more important to you? Do you even care about this? Software updates, since we're speaking about software. The iPhone 10, obviously, it's iOS. It's going to get software updates going forward. However, what I want to mention, a lot of people don't look at, is this fact right here. You can get your iPhone 10. You're going to get software updates. But over that period of time that you usually use your phone, 2 to 3 years or so, your software doesn't change that much regardless if you're on an iOS device or an Android device like a Samsung Galaxy. So Galaxy can update to Oreo, it can update to whatever the next version of Android is, but because Samsung layers TouchWiz on top, the experience is going to be about the same. Unless you root or jailbreak these phones, regardless that you're getting software updates more frequently on the iPhone 10, unless you're keeping this phone 5 years, if you're only keeping it 2 to 3, the software is not going to change that much on either one of these phones. So that argument does matter in terms of security. However, security updates do come from Samsung. They do push out security updates. Even if they don't update the entire Android software, Samsung does push out security updates quite frequently on their devices. So the software update debate, I think, is still a win for the iPhone 10. However, it doesn't change that much in everyday use over the span of time that you use these devices. Unless you're keeping them for the very long term, then the iPhone 10 is going to be your boy. And one other thing that comes with the software on the Galaxy S8 is going to be the Edge features. The S8, it is no longer called the Edge phone anymore. It used to be called the S6 Edge, S7 Edge. You get the Edge features, the Edge panels here, which you don't get on the iPhone 10, and they're actually quite useful if you do take advantage of them. They're another feature, though, on the phone that's kind of like, are you going to use it? Are you not going to use it? Really comes down to that. In addition to that, the new hardware button on the iPhone 10 is now Siri. So you hold it down to do Siri. That's very similar to what we've seen earlier this year with the Bixby button. So I think Apple took a page from Samsung's book with that one on the power button. And these companies are always going back and forth, but that one's a clear indication that they took a page from Samsung's book right there. All right, guys, so what about performance? We talked the specs of these phones earlier. Let's go ahead and close out some of the applications. I'm not going to run a full speed test here. I'll reserve that for another video, but I am going to test a few applications here just to see how they perform overall next to each other. Now, we know that iOS usually always takes Android to school when it comes to pure performance. Their processor game has been on point here for years, and you could see that the S8 won there on the clock. But again, this is not a scientific, I'm not trying to be super accurate here. I'm going to do these separately in a separate video. You can see the iOS platform just kind of a little bit faster than the Samsung device. But what I want to mention here is both of these phones are so fast that unless you're putting them side by side, you're not going to notice a huge difference in the real world. Both are going to get the job done. Now, the nature of the Android system is sometimes it does lag, and I'm not going to deny that. Sometimes the S8 can lag. It depends on what you're doing with the phone, but it's minimal. It rarely ever happens, and if it does, it's very easy for it to stop. You just close your apps out, restart the phone, whatever, you're back and running. So that lag debate, it really doesn't matter to me anymore. Honestly, look at Twitter open first there on the Galaxy S8 Plus. Snapchat looked about first there. So you can see speed day to day, not going to be that big a deal over either phone here, especially when you consider that this phone is like $500 more than the Galaxy S8. Okay, guys, so let's discuss those cameras. So right out the gate, the iPhone 10's a win over both Galaxy S8 devices because it has a dual camera. We will be comparing this to the Galaxy Note 8. Don't worry about that. That's coming soon. But automatic win in the camera department just because it has a dual camera. Now, pictures overall, though, it's the same thing. I've been testing iPhone 8 a little bit. It's pretty much the same thing as it was on the iPhone 8. It gives you a very good, natural, beautiful picture here, whereas the Galaxy S8 is going to try to punch up saturation and just give you a photo that's kind of ready to share to the platform. So again, I think most people, when you come down to it, if you really get serious about it, the iPhone 8 probably, or the iPhone 10 has a better picture when it comes to, pure accuracy and stuff like that. But I think the picture you're going to want to share, right away is the one that comes from the S8. So the iPhone 10 also has a portrait mode on the front camera. You don't get that on the Galaxy S8 Plus. So, front camera is debatable. I think that you might like the selfie camera a little bit better on the iPhone 10. So you can't do that little flip action to get to the front camera. You have to go down here. Overall, both of these cameras are going to be fantastic day to day. I think the iPhone 10 has a slightly better camera though. So if you're looking for pure camera performance, you got 4K 60 video here as well. That's an automatic win and an automatic L for the Galaxy S8 Plus. So go with the iPhone 10 if you want the absolute best camera you can get. But if you're still looking for a fantastic camera and you don't need, the most accurate in the world, and you just really love punchy colors, you just really like a photo that's ready to go to social media right out the gate, you don't need to edit anything, you're not trying to be professional, get the Galaxy S8. This is the consumer camera right here. This is more the professional's camera here on the iPhone 10. Okay guys, so what about the storage department on both these phones? So I actually was going for the 64 gig iPhone 10, but I wasn't able to get that because it sold out faster than I could click my pre-order. So I did go with the 256 gigabyte, and you could see plenty of space here. That is a fantastic amount of storage, but you are definitely paying the premium to get that storage. Now all Galaxy S8s come with 64 gigabytes standard, and they do come with expandable memory up to 256 gigabytes, and it is godly much cheaper to go ahead and upgrade your storage here on the S8 than to do it on an iPhone 10. It's going to be about 50 to 100 bucks to get a 256 gigabyte, SD card, depending on where you look, and you're going to be able to expand that storage like it's nothing on the Galaxy S8. However, SD cards can be annoying from time to time, and that internal storage on the iPhone 10 is extremely fast and efficient. So that's still a debatable topic. Some people don't like to mess around with little cards on their phones. Some people do. And again, this one's pretty much a draw, I think, on the storage department. They both have similar storage. Just know that you're going to pay more to get storage on the iPhone 10, and $1,000 for a base 64 gigabyte. That is not really acceptable if you ask me. They should have went with 128 gigabyte at $1,000 and 256 gigabyte, or they could even jumped all the way up to 512 gigabytes for maybe like a 1249 version of the iPhone 10. So draw on the storage just because they give you similar storage capacities. However, I'm going to call this win in terms of value to the Galaxy S8 Plus when it comes to price point of getting your storage. Okay guys, so let's talk about their battery life now here between both devices. Now I haven't had the iPhone 10 long enough to really give you a full conclusion on this battery department, but I can tell you right now, just using it in the past 24 hours on 11.1, the OLED screen seems to be draining the battery longer or faster than like the LCD iPhone. So not bad battery life though. It's looking pretty efficient so far. The Galaxy S8, I've used this a lot, so I can tell you right now, this has fantastic battery life. And both of them are going to give you a day of use pretty easily. So you're not going to have a problem getting through a day between either of these. The charging is faster on the Galaxy S8 Plus or S8, whichever one you go with, than an iPhone 10. However, this does support fast battery charging, but the S8 just does it a little bit faster. Now, you do have Qi wireless charging here for both of these, so you can put it on a charger. However, you can put the Samsung on a fast wireless charger, where I think you could just put this on a regular charger, wireless charger. So, when it comes to the battery life, I don't think this is a major deciding factor. Both are efficient, both are pretty good. I think that the Galaxy S8 does a better job when you're really, using it heavily. I think the iPhone 10 does a much better job when it comes to standby and, using it, putting it in your pocket, taking it out, using it, putting it in your pocket, taking it out and using it. I think that's where the iPhone 10 is a winner, but I don't see the iPhone 10 being better than the iPhone 8 Plus on battery so far. I'll be updating you soon on that one. Overall though, both of these phones are getting you through a day if you're asking which one should I buy in terms of battery life. All right guys, so let's talk about audio. So you got a speaker on the bottom of the iPhone 10. You do have a speaker on the bottom of the Galaxy S8. No front facing speaker, so automatic win to the iPhone 10 when it comes to audio. You're going to see it does fire out the front and the bottom. Let's take a look at my unboxing. So you can see it does fire from the top and the bottom here, whereas in the Galaxy S8, it's only going to fire here from the bottom speaker. However, the Galaxy S8 has a pretty loud bottom speaker, so it is easy to cover up, but at least it's pretty loud. You can hear? It's pretty loud, but it's not louder than the iPhone 10. So audio, straight audio from the phones themselves, straight win to the iPhone 10, easily crushing the Galaxy S8. Now, when it comes to the headphone jack, there is none on the iPhone 10. However, both sound pretty similar, I found in my testing with using headphones. I have tested both of them with headphones. Now, you do get a headphone jack though, pretty much only on the S8, so that's an automatic win for the Galaxy S8. Depending on who you talk to, some people think they don't want a headphone jack on their phone. I've heard people say, move on. Who cares about a headphone jack? So, it really depends on who you speak to there. But personally, I still have plenty of things that need to plug into a headphone jack, including like microphones, including like headphones and stuff like that. But you might be different when it comes to that regard. All right, guys, so I want to talk about some miscellaneous things that come with both of these devices and some things that don't come with either one of these devices that I might not have mentioned in this video. So if you buy buy either one of these phones, you have a mass market of accessories. Both of these phones are going to be fantastic when it comes to finding yourself a case, finding yourself whatever accessory you could really think of for these phones. You're going to get it whether you get an iPhone 10 or whether you get a Galaxy S8 Plus or an S8. Now, the S8 does have a perk. You do get AKG headphones, which are tuned by an actual audio company versus just Lightning earpods. To get better audio, I think you're going to get better headphones in the box with the Galaxy S8 or S8 Plus. Now, you do have Samsung Pay over here, and you do have Apple Pay over here. Now, Samsung Pay, in my experience, has worked better. It has a technology that mimics a card reader. That's always better than having to wait for retailers to get the Apple Pay software in their stores. So eventually Apple Pay will catch up, but right now you can pretty much use Samsung Pay anywhere. And they also have a reward system that rewards you with gift cards and stuff like that. You can also get points and win stuff on the Samsung Pay store, where on the Apple Pay, you really just use it as a card and it doesn't work everywhere. So that's a win to the Galaxy S8 in my experience. IP67 water and dust resistant, IP68. So the iPhone 10 is going to be able to, get wet, but not like dunk it in water wet. Now, if you drop the Galaxy S8 Plus and the iPhone 10 in a pool, I think the S8 Plus is going to probably take it to school and last a little bit longer in water than iPhone 10. So that's a win there for these. Now, both of these do offer Bluetooth 5.0, and that's pretty much all I want to talk about with the extra miscellaneous stuff between these phones. All right, guys, so let's talk about the price and the resale value of these phones. So if you buy a Galaxy S8 now, you can get cases, accessories, Samsung Care, and the phone for less than the starting price of an iPhone 10. Now, if you get an iPhone 10 with Apple Care, you get accessories, cases, screen protectors, the whole ball of wax, you're getting your phone warranted, all that stuff. You're looking at a good $1,400 here for the iPhone 10. That's US. You can do your conversions. Your country might differ. It's even more in some third world countries and other countries that are developing nations. This phone is even more money there. So, when it comes to your finances, that's personal, man. People are going to come up here and tell the public, this phone's expensive. You keep telling people that they're never going to have the mindset to believe that they can buy this thing. So I don't buy into those lies. The fact is, depending on who you are, if you manage your money, if you got the money, this is going to be no problem for you which one to buy. What's going to come down more to you is going to be, which phone offers more for the money. And I think the Galaxy S8 offers way more for the money. Now, that in terms of, price to value ratio. However, value is a very nuanced topic. It's something that is very personal. So to me, personally, I think the Galaxy S8 offers a better value. To an iOS user who's going to resell this phone later, sell it for $1,000 next year or $800, whatever they can get for it, and keep this phone a long time and still get a lot of money out of it, get the services, get to use the latest and greatest iOS, the iPhone 10 offers a better value. So there's really no true winner here between the iPhone 10 and the Galaxy S8. However, if you find yourself being a person who wants the most they can get out of their dollar, get the Galaxy S8. You're going to be a happy camper. If you're the person who's been wanting a different iPhone design for a long time, you're sick of the iPhone design, you don't care what the money costs, you don't care what the phone costs, get the iPhone 10. Now, the iPhone 10, at its core, does offer a very different experience with the multitasking, some of the gestures, the notch, stuff like that. However, when it comes to iOS, running all your apps day to day, it's still an iPhone at the end of the day. It's not a groundbreaking, revolutionary product. It's still an iPhone with an updated design. If you want to know a direct answer, which one Nick Ackerman, the one reviewing this channel, would be choosing here between both of these, I really wouldn't choose either. That's why I chose both. I think they're both fantastic. They're both great smartphones. I think that, the Galaxy S8 is the better phone for people who want to save money and get modern design. There's still not a cheap phone in the Galaxy S8, depending on who you speak to, but it still offers a better value. The iPhone 10, though, is the best iPhone ever made. And if you're into iOS and you love Apple ecosystem, get yourself an iPhone 10. You're not going to regret it, even though it's going to take some time for those apps to get updated. Now, comparing this to other iPhones, that is coming soon. So subscribe to the channel if you found this video helpful, enjoyable, and you want to see continuing coverage on the iPhone 10 because I got plenty of it coming. And hit the thumbs up for me. And thank you all if you sticked around for this entire video. I sincerely appreciate all of you. Have a great day. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well and peace.